And welcome to our second video for HPC 5753 Marriage and Family Therapy. In this video we're just going to do a short introduction to finding journal articles at the library at Appalachian State University. My name is Alan Sherlin and I'm a librarian at Appalachian State University. So we go back to the library homepage, and in our last segment we looked at books and how to find them and a little bit about citing them and so forth. Today I want to show you the databases and some databases useful for your therapy course in general. And we'll go ahead and click on underneath Find Information. We're going to click on Databases. And what I want to show you is down below here is a section called Counseling. I'm going to go ahead and click on Counseling. And what we have here is a list of they call the best bets, and these are various databases for finding scholarly articles related in some way. And the first one here is PsycInfo, which is much more of a straightforward psychology database, but there are some therapy works in here. And the second one is Health Source Nursing Academic Edition. It's going to be more medically oriented, but there may be something of use there. The third one, Family and Society Studies Worldwide, more of a social work and some related areas there. ERIC is an education related database. We have other education databases as well, but this is kind of the old standard one. For those that are looking at therapy in schools, therapy with students, with adolescents, etc., ERIC may be a choice for you. I also want to show you some other databases under here under Also Useful. You can see this. I know you're watching it on a YouTube channel, and some of this may not be that clear on your screen. But when you go to the library database, a library homepage, it should become much more clear to you. Under here we have what I'd call some general databases. You want to look at those. We have such as Academic OneFile and Academic Search Complete. In almost any kind of a research project you're working on, you want to look at general databases. And these are databases that are interdisciplinary. They go across disciplines. And in your field of marriage and family therapy, you will need to often go across disciplines. You may be looking at psychology, but you're also looking at social issues. And in this course, you're looking at legal and ethical issues. So there's a number of subjects that can converge here. So these two can be very important. You don't want to ignore them. They don't take long to search, and often you can find information that you couldn't find in a more specialized database. This third one down here is called AgeLine, and if you're dealing with marriage and family therapy or any kind of therapy or counseling related to older adults, you want to look at AgeLine, which deals more with gerontology or issues related to senior, older people. This next one, Counseling and Therapy and Video. This may be useful in supporting your work, or if you have to do a presentation and so forth. These are actually videos of therapy sessions. Not generally that useful for doing a paper or doing your general research, but can be useful in presentations or also for faculty in classes. So we could go down the list. There's others as well. The only other two down here I might look at as possibilities are social services abstracts, pretty important to counseling, and also social work abstracts. Even though you're in a different but related field, social work abstracts could potentially have some information there about various kinds of counseling and so forth. And finally, sociological abstracts, which is a pretty wide general area on dealing with any subject related to social issues. Okay, let's go ahead and get started here. I just want to show you let's say one particular database just to kind of give an introduction here. We're going to go ahead and start off with PsycInfo. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And we can get into PsycInfo here. It's going to default to this general search screen. I like to often go to the advanced search, which is, if you can see this in your screen, is a small link below the search box. What this does, essentially, it's not so advanced as it is actually making it easier in some ways by giving you multiple search boxes. So I've got multiple search boxes here, and I've also got some limiting features. But let's go ahead and put in a search. I'm going to go ahead and put in family therapy. And eating disorders. And before I go ahead and click OK, let's take a look at some of these limiters. I mean, after all, this is a library instruction. Let's go ahead and see, why would I want to limit, you might ask. Well, one of the things is some of these databases will actually look for other kinds of materials. Like here, as you can see, this database also has books under publication type and other things. And perhaps I want to just look at articles. So I may say, okay, I only want to look at peer-reviewed journals, say, for example. That's one way to do it. As you notice over here, there's also a button that says peer-reviewed. I could just leave that and click on peer-reviewed. Here is a question then, what is peer-reviewed and why would I click that button? Peer-reviewed means that this particular journal that the article would appear in has gone through a peer review process, meaning that scholars in the field have been selected to look over the article before it's published, to consider it, see if it meets standards of the discipline, standards of that subject in terms of its scholarly qualities. And they will often suggest improvements, changes to the author before it's published. Or they may reject the article outright, or they may accept it. But the main thing is that the article has been reviewed ideally by a number of peer reviewers who then submit their comments to the author and to the editor, and improvements are made to the article so that the article does meet the expectations of that subject and the quality of scholarship necessary for the discipline. Okay, so often your faculty, your professor will ask you to use scholarly articles or peer-reviewed articles. So it helps often to click this particular button. You'll have an opportunity to do that later in the process, but that's a useful limit. Also, the language. Often there are other languages in these databases. And in PsycInfo, there's quite a few other languages. So I'm going to go ahead and click on English, though, because I want to just make sure I'm not looking at a lot of other things, taking a lot of time. PsycInfo is a great database for limiting to various kinds of things. Like, for example, if you are looking for studies, specific studies, you can limit under this bottom right-hand box, methodology. There are a number of things you can look for: qualitative studies, clinical trials, twin studies, etc. So you can really refine your search much better by using this limiter of methodology. So let's say I'm not going to limit it to studies at the moment. I could say let's go ahead and do that, empirical studies. So I click on empirical studies, and let's go ahead and do our search. So now, as you can see, we've done it. We have put in the search box family therapy. I also use the word "and" here, and eating disorders. I could have put the eating disorders phrase in the next box. You have that option because there's an "and" here connecting it. Or I can just put in family therapy and eating disorders here. Let's go ahead and do that search. Remember, I've limited it to peer review, and I've limited it to English down below, and I've limited it to empirical study. Let's do the search. I still have 495 items. So there's quite a bit in this database on family therapy, eating disorders that are peer-reviewed. And you see on the left-hand side, my limit is still here. And we know these are English because we limited it to English. And we limited it to empirical studies. So we know we have some actual studies here. Also, you'll also notice publication dates. It has a sliding bar, and it's going from 1975 to 2015. In the previous video, I mentioned that databases generally give you the most recent items first. And as you can see, this first item is July 2015. And if you can't see it because of your screen resolution in YouTube, just take my word for it. The first one, pilot study comparing multi-family therapy to single-family therapy for anorexia nervosa in an intensive eating disorder program. So here is a study from July 2015, published July 2015, very recent. The second one is June 2015, a pilot study of family therapy with group behavioral therapy, etc. So we're getting quite a few items here. Usually when you have more than 50 or 100 items in your search, you may want to narrow it down, or you could just go down and look through what you have. If you get too many things and it looks like some of the dates for some reason are mixed or whatever, you could always slide on the left-hand column here under limit. You can, under publication date, the slider, I can move this over and just, you want to use the most recent information you can. That's always kind of a general rule in any of the social sciences, behavioral sciences, such as counseling and family therapy. You want to use recent studies as much as you can. One way to make sure that you do that is to limit your search to only recent studies. In this case, I'm going to limit it to 2001 to 2015 just to see the difference. So we're going to now, by just moving that slider, it should change. And in this case, apparently most of them are even more recent. If I go to 2000, let's say, and 6 to the current, there's still 459. So apparently these are all very recent articles in here, which is great. Apparently a lot of this work has been in recent times and so forth. Let's see if I just move the slider up to 2010. Now, between 2010 and 2015, we still have 155 articles. As you can see, the slider now reflects 2010 to 2015. So there's a lot. There are plenty of articles, and in this case, limited to empirical studies of family therapy and eating disorders, a very, very popular area. Well, that's PsycInfo in a very quick nutshell. And in our next video, we will proceed with going into law and ethics kinds of things. Thank you very much.